This is Tales from the Cube, a podcast about call centers, what it's like to work in them, the good, the bad, the ugly, the funny and not so funny side of what it's like working in a call center. Hello and welcome to this edition of Tales from the Cube. My name is Cliff, and this is just an introduction to season, I believe it is season 3. Yes, we're at season 3. Season 1 was rather short. Season 2 is our big season, and now we're into season 3. And of course, this will be episodes beginning with 24001, and hopefully we'll have some interesting things coming your way. So, wanted to basically look back on 2023. Now, of course, we would have done that at the end of the year, but unfortunately, there was a particular situation that I had to deal with, and I was on vacation at the time, and then I had to take an extra bit of time off to deal with a loss in the family. And I wanted to basically let people know that recently my spouse Darlene passed on, and I had to deal with that and continue to deal with that. That was one of the reasons why episode 23024 did not get actually made or broadcast, because of the fact that we were in the throes as a family with the situation with my spouse, and that of course is now closing out. We're going to be doing some other things with regard to that, and then moving on forward with life in general. So that said, we are going to talk call center stuff. That's what this podcast is really all about. And for the next season, a lot of different topics are going to be discussed. We're going to go into some things together, you and I as listeners, and I think that will be interesting. Me as the speaker, you as the listener. I hope that you'll find this season intriguing and interesting. Last season, I have to admit, I was surprised at the number one I was surprised at the number one episode. It was, believe it or not, episode 23008. Weird, funny, awkward, it gets that way was the title of that particular podcast edition. And it got an amazing 289 plays. That's amazing. Our audience has grown quite nicely. We're sitting at just over 400, which is excellent. I'm hoping this year I'll get some more people on board here. I want to try and see if I can break 1,000. That would be the nice glass ceiling I want to crash through, and that will basically allow me to go forward and start putting this into the monetary phase, which basically is what we want to do, because the bottom line here is more listeners, more ears, more possibilities to monetize. The thing here I'm trying to do essentially with this podcast, of course, is educate people about call centers, how they work, and of course what goes on in call centers, the funnier side of things, the not so funny side. It's the good, the bad, the ugly, as I like to say. And call centers do have some pretty interesting intricacies, and that's what we're really all about in this podcast. That's what the whole thing is geared to doing, is understanding that particular essence, if you will, of what it is like to sit in a chair, take calls, how it's done, what it's like to be coached, what it's like to coach back to a coach. These kinds of things are what we talk about in this particular podcast. So if you're new here, thank you very much for dropping in, and I hope that you'll find this educational and interesting and learning curve for you to understand, particularly if you want to work in the call center industry, or you're currently getting into it, you're just starting out as a person who's being trained on a campaign. You want to know what you're getting into, because it is definitely a different kind of career. I've been doing it for well over 20 years, actually closer now to about the 25-year mark, off and on, and it has been an interesting journey. And I have to admit, I am now beginning to get ready to hang up the headphones, and that's the reason why I'm also doing this podcast and some other broadcast things, because that was one of my other careers. That was what I actually trained to do, was to work as a broadcaster. So I want to get back into that. That's the thing I really truly like doing, is broadcasting. So this is what my retirement gig will be, is to get back into this, through podcast, YouTube, and of course through my blog. So those are the three things: touching the paper, touching the video, and touching the audio are the three things we're going to do. And I'm hoping to put a company together and to do that. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about call centers, what it's like to work in them, the good, the bad, the ugly. And of course, your input is always welcome. You can send email to 4eyesfreelancing@gmail.com, and I'll be very happy to look at that and answer any questions you might have. And of course, I hope that you are going to, stop in here and get some ideas as to how to basically do your job if you're a call center rep, whether you're just starting out or a veteran or a manager. I hope that you find this particular podcast of interest to yourself. So with that, I am going to basically take my exit here and continue with my day. I got a couple of other things I need to do, but I appreciate you a lot. Thank you very much for dropping in and listening to Tales from the Cube. My name is Cliff Tour. I'm the host, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care, and bye-bye for now. Thanks for listening to Tales from the Cube. My name is Cliff Tour. You can hear us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Audible. Thanks again for listening. We appreciate it. We'll see you in the next episode of Tales from the Cube.